Fix-It Phil here, back again with another home improvement video. Today we will be replacing a Moen shower valve, and the cartridge we're going to replace today is a Moen 1225. This is what it looks like. I hope you can see it. You'll need a few basic tools. You'll need a screwdriver, a Phillips. You will need some plumbing grease. You will need a utility knife, and you may need a brush. You will need a small flashlight, and you will need a valve stem puller. You can do it with pliers, but I highly recommend you use the valve stem puller. They're made by a couple different companies. You can find them at your home store. First, we're going to remove the plastic cover on the handle. I'll take a utility knife, I'll work it in the grooves and pop it off. It comes off that easy. Next, we'll get a Phillips screwdriver and we'll back out the screw on the handle. Do not lose this screw. This is a stainless steel screw. Do not substitute it with a regular screw. If you do, make sure you get a stainless steel screw with the correct threads. We will remove the stop. That's this little tube that you see here. It is a stop for the handle. It pulls out easily. You may have to wiggle it a little bit to get it out. There it goes. Next is a very little important key that rests on top of the valve that holds the valve in. We will be removing that. There's a little hole in the top. You can work your utility knife and get in that little hole and pull it up. If not, if it's stuck, you may need some pliers. Do not lose this. This is what it looks like. Do not lose this. This is a very important part. Without this, you will not be able to finish the job, and it does not come with a new valve. Next, we will be removing the escutcheon plate to gain a little bit more area. There it is. That exposes the complete entire valve. To get the valve out, we will use the valve stem remover. Then you turn this little screw right here. This screw is just like the screw that came out of the handle. In fact, it goes into the same hole. Before you don't try to pull the valve out like this with your hand. Don't try to pull this way. What you want to do is, this handle is to turn it, to break it loose. It may be stuck. Just turn it a little bit each way to get it unstuck. Once it's unstuck, start screwing this down. If they're really stuck, you may need to put a wrench on this and turn this. But this one feels like it might be moving. Yeah, this one's pretty good. I've got lucky here. Once again, try not to pull like this because you may damage the pipes, the supply lines that go to the valve. Just keep turning this. There she goes. And she's free. Now you may get a little bit of water out here. That's normal. Don't worry about that. What I like to do is to use this brush and put it in here and clean this out and make sure there's no trash in here. We're going to take our little flashlight and we're going to look in here and make sure that there's no debris or parts or pieces of the old valve or pieces of solder, and that looks good and clean. We'll open up the new valve. Once again, original Moen replacement valve. Some people use knockoffs or copies. That's up to you. I prefer original equipment. I like Moen parts and products. So that's what I go with. I'd like to point out, if you try to take this valve out with a pair of pliers, make sure you use this little plastic piece Moen gives you. What you do is you insert this in the valve and you turn it, just like I turned it with the valve puller. This is not a puller, but it helps you turn the valve or position the valve correctly to either unstick it or adjust it to put the key in. That key was that little horseshoe thing I showed you a little while ago. Okay, we got the valve all cleaned out. now we're ready to install the cartridge. Once again, we're using a Moen cartridge, and if I can find what I did with it, here it is right here. The important thing, one thing I like about the Moen cartridge, it's easy to put these cartridges in upside down to where the hot and the cold are mixed up. The thing I like about the Moen valve, there's a little indexing mark right here. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but look for this little mark. That mark goes straight up, and that way you'll have the hot on the correct side and the cold on the correct side. What we're going to do now is we're going to put some plumber's grease on the cartridge so it'll make it easy for the next installation. It's kind of a white pasty grease like this. You simply just rub it all over the Moen cartridges are pretty well lubed up once you get them. Okay, we're ready to go. Got the plumber's grease on it. Whatever you do, do not use regular grease. Do not use mechanics grease or automobile grease. It must be plumber's grease. Make sure you get the correct grease. You don't want to poison anybody's water system. Okay, once again, we're looking for the indexing mark right at the top. There's the indexing mark. These ears, the half circles on the top and the half circles on the bottom. It's important that these are 90 degrees because that pin goes in like this on each side of them. Here she goes. I'm having a little bit of problem getting the pin in. Once again, the horseshoe pin that we talked about, this thing can be a real booger to get in. But what I've done is I've reinstalled the valve puller, and what I've done is I've worked it, moved it back and forth and pushed on it and pushed the cartridge back in all the way. The cartridge was not seated in all the way, and this puller helped me seat it in correctly. There we go. See how the pin goes right in now with the cartridge seated? There we go. The valve is correctly installed, and now we will reassemble the valve. Just in reverse order as we did when we started the video. A lot of people like to caulk these, but it does come with a gasket itself. But if you caulk these, make sure you don't caulk the bottom. As you notice, the manufacturer has left the gasket, a space in the gasket. This is for water to escape. This is a weep system. So don't caulk this at the bottom. You see how that worked? I put the stop tube in first, and then I put the escutcheon over that, and that lines up the holes to get the screws in so I don't have to keep moving around and trying to find the holes. There she goes. There she goes. Install the handle. The stainless steel screw. Oh, that's nice and smooth. We'll turn the water on here in a few minutes and see what we got. Oh, yeah. No drips, no runs. That's the way we want it. Once again, this is Fix It Phil. If you like this video or if you found it helpful, please subscribe or hit like. Thank you.